Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series America. We just wrapped up an exciting TVP series to kick off our first live event with the players playing in studio. I think it was a pretty good series. You had some good analysis. How you feeling, Todd?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad that we have two pros playing today as well. That's really going to make the job that much easier for me. I'm glad we have a live audience as well. There's quite a few guys here in the studio. Thank you guys for coming out. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's cool to see passionate StarCraft fans coming in, and I really like, everything's been set up pretty well. It's been a solid start so far, and our next match is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg featuring the runner-up from Season 1 of WCS America, Oz, and he's looking, he needs to get out of this group if he wants to get back into the top 16 for WCS points, and what better way to start? XiGua, definitely an underdog, but he certainly could win this series.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Oz, I really feel like he's one of those good contenders to possibly qualify for the World Finals at the end of the year. And he's going to need to go far here in this tournament in order to achieve that. Last season, runner-up was good, but it's not quite enough to solidify his place amongst the top 16. Right now, he's in 19th place.
Yeah, and XiGua, not really quite up there as far as WCS points go. We know that he's good, but he's been a long-time contender in WCS America. We know that he can put up some good games. He doesn't have his teammates with him this time to talk through the games and get extra preparation. But I like that he's here. He played some solid games in the round of 32. What do you think overall of the way that these two players play? Like their styles that clash against each other.
I feel like XiGua likes to play with a lot of hatchery first, and then his go-to build seems to be hatch on 15. He sends a drone down the ramp, make sure he's not being cannon rushed, and then he takes a third base. So always that one build where he goes up to 3 hatch very quickly. Whereas Oz, previously, he played a lot with a build that brought him a lot of success. That was Nexus into Gateway, a very, very greedy build. He's known for that, and I expect him to maybe mix it up here a little bit. He's always a guy that brings something new to the table. So when Forge was the go-to build for Protoss, he was the guy who was doing Nexus into Gate. Now that his Nexus into Gate is more popular, maybe he's going to revert back a little bit towards Forge play, which could be interesting here against a XiGua that seems to be ready every time against cannon rushes.
Yeah, it's cool because we've seen a little bit of that cannon rush play come out of Oz. I remember his matches versus Revival in the semifinals of Season 1 of WCS America. He was even willing to cannon rush if there was a 15 pull into hatchery. So I'm really curious to see how aggressive Oz is going to be in this match, if he's toned it down a little bit, and if he's going to go back towards, as you said, those greedier builds, the Nexus into Gateway. And for this match overall, Oz is the, I would say the favorite based on his results, based on his performance. But XiGua, as we saw in the stats, he made it through the first 2 times for this season to get to the round of 16. But Oz, he is a veteran in this tournament.
Yeah, Oz is that guy who's always been very high up there, but never quite won a tournament. He's been close a few times. He got a 2nd place in an Intel Extreme Masters in Shanghai before. He took 2nd in the last WCS America. He was crushed when he lost. He actually went outside and cried for a little bit. I felt really bad for him. He was this close to finally winning a tournament, but didn't make it. Maybe it's time here. Maybe it's time for me. It's been long overdue, I feel, for this player.
Yeah, I have to agree. When we look at the way that he played in the last season, he went so well. He started off the season teamless. He'd just come off of EG, and he was really trying to show everybody that he is that top caliber player that deserves to be up here on a big stage. And being here, being able to play in America against an opponent like XiGua, who's used to playing with latency when you have to play, especially from China, I'm wondering if that's going to have any impact on his style. And I'm wondering if we're going to see that increasingly popular Zerg style that's been popping up against Protoss. Lots of Zerglings, lots of Roaches, very gas-light mid-games into crazy Mutalisk late games.
It's funny, the latency issue, it always reminds me of those Dragon Ball episodes where they have like a lot of weights in their suits and then he takes them off before the tournament. It's the same thing with latency. When you play a lot of latency, you show up to a LAN tournament, you don't have any lag, you just feel like you have a superpower or something. It's so much better to play at, and I do think this is going to help XiGua as well play better than he usually does online here.
Yeah. So as we look to get ready for our second match of the day, I have to say, when we look at which one of these players, if going into the winner's match, who would you like to see more against Hart? I feel like Oz is strong in all of his matchups, but maybe PVT is a bit of a weak spot. I've seen him lose series to players like Major in the past that haven't had quite as much success in overall tournaments.
Yeah, Oz is always interesting to watch in particular against Zerg and Terran. So I think I would maybe prefer him to move on to face Hart, especially since Pig Baby, he did a lot of good things, but in the end he lost. And in that last game, I have to kind of be disappointed with the way he moved out and overextended. So I kind of want to see against maybe a better Protoss how that will go for Hart. And you know what? If Hart is able to play against Oz in the next match and beats him, he definitely deserves more than anybody to move on to the round of 8 and possibly to go very far in this tournament. So that will be a good test as well.
Yeah, it'd also be scary because if XiGua ends up having to play against an opponent like Oz, like Hart showed some phenomenal Terran versus Zerg in his series against Jaedong, and that was just right before the Hellbat insanity kicked in, where we've seen pretty much Hellbat fever with tons of very aggressive builds popping up. So I feel like XiGua would rather play. You think rather play versus Protoss players? I don't
think XiGua minds too much. He's a guy who practices a lot on Korean server as well. He's solid in all matchups. So
yeah, it's such a difficult situation to look at, but I don't know. Any other thoughts on the match before we go in to talk to the players?
I think we should give them a chance to talk first, and then I'll talk a lot when we get the game started.
All right. Well, we're gonna hear from the social media desk. We're gonna hand it over to Clutch. Let's see what's going on, guys.
Hey, thanks, gentlemen. The players are finalizing their setup here. We want them to play to their best ability, so give them a couple more minutes to finalize their setup. I had a number of questions on Twitter. People are asking, hey, is there a live crowd here? I don't know, guys. Is there a live crowd here? Yeah. Yeah, there's a live crowd here. And the reason they showed up is to watch some awesome StarCraft, but they also found out the Red Bull bar is now officially open. So make sure to head on down here. We're in Burbank. It's just north of Los Angeles. Burbank, the most famous city when it comes to Southern California, because some of your best television shows are filmed in Burbank. As a reminder as well, make sure to sign up for the Fantasy League for StarCraft 2. Go to fantasy.eslgaming.com/SC2. There you can make your predictions. You can pick your players to put in your different fantasy leagues, and it's broken down by the different regions that we have, America, Europe, and also GSL over for Korea. I personally, this is no joke, I put Todd in my European team, and I always believe in late Todd, so I still root for you, brother, every time. 23.5 points is why. It's a lot of fun to compete with your friends when you put that fantasy league together, and also show a lot of the roads and a lot of the storylines that are happening for these players. Pig Baby, he did lose against Hart, but again, this is Pig Baby's first time he's ever visited the United States of America. I think the first time he's ever traveled outside of Korea. And he told me a little secret. And the secret to why he wanted to play in WCS America, and hopefully we can air that secret a little bit later. So we had a nice little interview with him, and also with Hart. Hart, he is getting up there when it comes to the age of these players, and his military time, the mandatory military time each of the Korean players have to do for 2 years, is around the corner. And so he is getting to the point now where he wants to get these wins. 4 appearances in all 4 seasons of WCS America. It's quite impressive so far. These next 2 players, we have a mystery man. We got XiGua, a guy coming out of China, one of 2 Chinese players. Tudming is the other one, and they're very, very excited and happy and proud to be representing China in this tournament. Then we have Oz. Oz, a player that earned 2nd place last season. And I talked to him for a little bit, and the mentality he had last season is that when you lose in the round of 16 or the round of 8, it's a bummer, but you get to relax a little bit and watch the rest of the tournament. When you make it to the semifinals and then the finals itself, the stakes are so much higher and the defeat is so much more. So for him, he was devastated by earning 2nd place, but he feels even more confident and prepared to go all the way in this tournament. We're going to have to find out. It's only day number 1 in the round of 16, but Group A is proving to be quite a lot of fun to watch. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the players are almost ready. Make sure to send your tweets in, #WCS. I do read them. I read almost every single one, and a lot of you guys are such good trolls. It's kind of scary. I'm throwing it back to the commentators. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thanks, Clutch. And yeah, I always like seeing what people have to say with the tweets. Some people give interesting fan art. Other people have rather interesting predictions, and some of them just don't like Protoss. Todd, how does that make you feel?
That's very good. I'm happy we have Clutch here to give me some props finally. With all the hate I was getting from Roddy, you know, I'm so glad that we have another handsome member of the cast here, maybe trying to rivalize a little bit with Roddy. Because his ego is getting out of control sometimes.
Well, you know, like Clutch said, the players are just making sure that all of their settings are ready on their computer, make sure everything is set up properly so they can put out the best performance for you guys to watch in their match. So we're going to give them just another minute or two. We're going to cut to a short commercial break, and after that, we'll be back to hear their thoughts and go into the match, our second series of the day between XiGua and Oz. You're watching WCS America, Round of 16 Premier League. Stay tuned.
We've always wanted to create amazing, affordable gaming PCs. Each and every system is custom configured and built by hand, tested, and carefully packaged. Our systems have become the backbone for game developers, LAN centers, professional gamers, major esports tournaments, and everyday consumers. When professional players started competing and winning on our systems, we knew we were doing something right. We offer warranties and lifetime technical support with all our systems. For well over a decade, you've trusted us to bring you into the games you know and love. And we're right there with you, because we're gamers too.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series America Premier League Round of 16. I'm Nathanius. With me is Todd, and we are just about ready to hear the players' thoughts before they go into the second match of the day. We already saw a 2-1 victory for the Terran player Hart, who will be going up in the winner's match against the winner of our next series.
I thought we were going to an interview.
You have nothing to say?
Yes, we did. You know, I was expecting a PvP actually in the winner's match. I said it earlier, and I did think that Big Baby was going to beat Hart, even though I thought that Hart had a good chance. And now I fully expect Oz to win. If he was to lose here, I would be extremely surprised. Even though XiGua was pretty good, but it's Oz. He's the runner-ups. He's somebody who's always been great against Zerg.
All right. Well, guys, the players are ready. They've settled in, so we're going to find out their thoughts. And, well, let's see what Clutch has to say and what they're going to say.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, thank you for your patience, and to everyone watching, the players are now ready to go. I have to my left the gentleman that was second place last time at WCS America. He is Oz. And to my right, a gentleman that many consider to be a mystery when it comes to WCS America. Hailing from China, it is XiGua. XiGua, let's start with you. There's two players from China that are representing China in WCS America. How excited and how proud are you to be representing China here today?
就是你今天感觉兴奋吗？今天有什么样特殊的一种想法呢？对于今天这场比赛？
我觉得只要打出中国选手的风采就好了。
With three good Korean players in my group, I think I just need to show the real power of myself. That's all.
The real power of XiGua. Well, we're all looking forward to that. XiGua, any words you would like to say to your opponent before we start?
你有什么想对你就在赛前对你那个对手 OZ 说的？
我会用我比较智力的莽夫击败你，希望你小心一点。
I'm a reckless man, but I have a high level IQ. I will use it to beat you down. Please be careful.
Okay, a reckless man with a high IQ, and he's going to use it to beat Oz down. Let's see what the Wizard has to say about that. Oz, you are a constant presence in America. We have seen you at many tournaments. We've seen you perform astonishing feats in StarCraft 2. Last season, second place. Now you're back. You're feeling confident, ready to go. Any words for your opponent XiGua before we start?
저번 시즌에 준우승을 하기까지 김학수 선수가 이제 WCS 아메리카에 자주 이제 나타나시면서 항상 좋은 성적을 얻으셨는데 16강 이제 붙게 될 XiGua 선수한테 마지막으로 경기 전 한마디.
일단 어제 이 호텔 도착해서 급하게 이렇게 연습하러 왔는데 XiGua 선수는 연습도 안 하고 호텔에서 쉬더라고요. 굉장히 자신 있는 것 같은데 좀 약간 두렵네요.
So yesterday when we arrived to the hotel, we had to rush to the studio to practice and not miss the shuttle bus. And when we arrived, XiGua decided not to come and not practice yesterday. So I'm quite scared.
All right, gentlemen, if you'll please shake hands. Good luck and have fun. We'll get the map veto sorted out. Back to the commentators.
Thanks, Clutch. Interesting, you know, XiGua admits, like, I'm a reckless man, but I'm smart. So, Oz, I'm interested to see how this match goes. We've seen always whenever we have the Chinese players, they always kind of bring their own special flavor, really, to these tournaments. And that not the Korean players, not the American players, or even any of the European players on the other side of the world do. So, this will be a cool match. I feel like no matter what way it pans out, Oz still a strong favorite. But any thoughts after that interview?
It's interesting to me that XiGua, you know, he's been around forever. He's 27, I believe, so he might be the second oldest player after Nesty still in the tournament. And back in 2006, man, I was playing against this guy in Warcraft 3 in the WCG quarterfinals in Italy. So he has a ton of experience. He knows when he has to skip on practice. Sometimes it might mean you're ready or you already feel ready for a match, or sometimes it might just mean that you've won your last few practice games. You don't want to crush your own confidence by playing against very good opponents, in which case you might lose and question everything you've practiced before.
Yeah. So, you know, that's a really good point. He has been practicing around for quite a long time. Man, you're old, Todd. We're gonna see the vetoes that the vetoes these players have, and find out what maps they want to play and what maps they don't. For a Protoss player, Todd, what's your least favorite map?
Way Station and Merry-Go-Round, instantly. That's what I would veto as Protoss here against basically any Zerg.
All right.
Except maybe Scarlet, because she's not entirely Zerg.
Oh, we'll should have switched to Protoss if you pick a bad map. So the first map here that we see is Alterzim. I'm not really surprised by this. I feel like Zerg players like having large maps, but maybe the way XiGua wants to play. Well, there's your way station.
It's funny, Alterzim, in both PvZ and PvT, I feel like either player could veto it, especially in PvT. It's almost always vetoed, and it's always a different player vetoing it. Like sometimes it's a TN, sometimes it's the Protoss player vetoing it. So way station here, yeah, that makes sense as well. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see merry-go-round go as well. And then all the rest of the maps are fairly equal, I feel. Maybe Habitation Station or King Sejong, depending on personal preference.
Yeah, but you're right. The Overgrowth, I think. Overgrowth and Frost, probably the two most favorite maps. There's a veto on King Sejong Station, so maybe we'll see Habitation Station, which generally gives us interesting games. And I think since we have to have either Habitation Station or Merry-Go-Round, those maps kind of create some of the weirdest games. And there will be no Merry-Go-Round, so Habitation Station, crazy map.
Yeah, you know, a lot of possibilities. Gold base available. XiGua is somebody who loves opening with the double hatch before pool. He likes to skip on gas very often as well. And I feel like Oz, if he's aware of that, he's going to have some possibilities to counter. Try maybe a cannon rush here and there. As I said before, I used to open a lot with some Gateway and Nexus earlier, with the Nexus first. But I feel like there is a chance here we might see some good old Forge play if he really is convinced that his opponent is going to play with the hatch first. And Frost, Habitation Station are going to be our first two maps. And I feel like I like these maps, but Habitation, again, is a very, very tricky map. I feel like both players are going to have to be on point and have something specific that they want to go into, and you really have to stick to it.
Yeah, I agree. Habitation Station gives us some of the craziest games. I feel like for players, it's a very tricky map because certain opponents, you know, I guess as a Terran player, I'd say if you play someone like MC, you're like, well, I know I'm going to face something crazy on this map. And some of these Chinese players, we've seen time and time again, even just, you know, Gateway expands to the gold base. You've seen Hatchery first to the gold base, but
Double hatch at the double gold base. Yeah, man.
What was it? Nesty did that versus Hero actually in MLG just like 2 days ago. He also does crazy builds.
Yeah, Live tried it as well at some point. I really feel like Oz has an edge going to this match. I mean, he's always been great versus Zerg.
Yeah, I have to agree. So a bit unusual then you'd say that we have Habitation Station as the second map. Like I figure Overgrowth is so solid. I expected it to be either the first or second.
I'm guessing it's XiGua's pick. So that will make sense if this is one of the maps that is left, that he will pick this one. And I mean, Habitation is one of the maps that's not. You shouldn't be particularly surprised. I'm kind of am because I'm not a big fan of it. But as I said, my own vetoes myself would have been Merry-Go-Round and Way Station. So if a Zerg didn't veto Habitation Station against me, we would be playing it, and it's probably him who would have picked it. Yeah, certainly as well.
Yeah, it makes. I mean, Merry-Go-Round's one of those maps. The third base is also very difficult to hold on to in the mid-late game stage. So we're getting the lobby together. We've just about got everybody settled in here, and Frost is a very standard map. I think, as you said before, XiGua's a player, and we can see him here. He's a player that likes to go for some of these really greedy builds on large maps when you can get away with them. Double hatchery first, and as we also said, Oz can be a player to take advantage of that. Do you like this map for the way that XiGua plays?
Yeah, I like it because he could get lucky here and there. Say if Oz ends up scouting XiGua as last, assuming he's going to go with the one probe scout, and assuming he's going to go for a scout, because I mean he could skip that. He's been one of those guys that sometimes plays overly greedy. XiGua would get lucky and basically get away for sure with the double hatch that he likes to go for. But if Oz really wants to cannon, he's going to send out 2 probes, make sure he knows ASAP where XiGua is, and then from there it's going to come down to the drone micro, the way the pylon and cannons is placed. And again, here, this is an area where I would give a slight edge to Oz. But we've talked about XiGua. He practices on the Korean server. I'm sure he gets cannon his fair share. Yet, his go-to build, supposedly, from the games that I've seen of him, is still the double hatchery before pull, skipping a gas.
Yeah, we saw a lot of success from this, at least this kind of opening from Zerg players like Hyun, like Life, Dongray Gu, busting these out quite a bit in the last MLG. So his opponent, Oz, we know he's capable of anything, and I think you make a great point. If he does that greedy play, that Nexus into Gateway, you have no opportunity to punish a Zerg player going for this. It has to be some sort of 2-base Gateway attack, and even that is really starting to roll the dice at one point or another. So Oz is going to have to, I guess, try to feel out where he thinks XiGua's going to go, or he'll say something like, maybe I could beat him in a straight-up macro game anyway, and I don't need to open with a Forge.
You know, Oz, I feel like he's one of the players in this tournament that wants to win it the most. As I said before, he's one of those guys that has been around for a long time on StarCraft 2. In comparison with XiGua, he's not been around for a long time, because XiGua was a pro gamer before that on Warcraft 3 for a very long time. Oz was a pro gamer on Brood War as well, but I'm not sure for how long. And since he's much younger than XiGua, I would say XiGua probably been doing this a longer time. But Oz, ever since he started playing StarCraft 2, has always been good. He's always been very high up there, very high placement. I think he had a top 4 or top 8 in GSL once. And as I said, he wants it so bad. Last time when he lost in the finals against Sion, seriously, he looked sadder than anybody I've ever seen, I think, in a tournament. He was literally in tears. And it was kind of impossible to cheer him up. I tried for a little bit, then I was like, well, there's no helping him now. I guess he just needs a bit of time, but he's going to have another shot this season.
This is a big opportunity for Oz to really cement himself as one of the top contenders here in WCS America. And as you guys can see, we're loaded in. Our players getting that APM up. It's going to be a pretty cool PVZ, our second match of the day, and our first player of this match. In the southwest position, the red Zerg player representing Invictus Gaming, it is XiGua. Getting some cheers already. His opponent, the blue Protoss player who has sent a probe out to build that low ground pylon from Planet Key Dynamics, it is Oz.
Okay, a probe going for a pylon down the ramp like this and then for a scout is almost always going to be a forge. Sometimes a Nexus first, but since you scout this early, I feel like a forge is more likely. He's scouting cross map first. This is interesting already. Maybe trying to really confuse XiGua, or maybe hoping he isn't there, in which case, because if he scouts XiGua first and XiGua sees the probe, you're never gonna go for a hatchery first against a probe scouting you early on. So maybe that's what Oz wants. And either way, I mean, if he scouts XiGua first here, XiGua doesn't go for hatch first, and if he doesn't, then he can go for hatch first, I'd say like 2 minutes 15, and then he could possibly be cannon. We're gonna see the forge go down here in a second, I believe.
Oh, there it is.
A second probe going for a scout as well. Look at Oz's probe at the top side. He's going all the way around too, maybe trying to dodge some potential overload that could be there.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. So many mind games here and studies on where to send the probes to make sure he wouldn't be spotted if there was overloads on the way. But XiGua is playing it safe. Going for the hatch first. He's basically making sure he's not going to get cannon rushed ever. And Oz, I feel like he's invested a lot into this already. Two probe scouting.
Yeah, that's a lot of potentially lost early income. Of course, he can't get that fast Nexus, and now the probe sees the hatchery, but he knows like this hatchery is way later than it would be if it was a 15 hatch. The spawning pool is about to complete. There's not really any way you can accomplish anything with cannon, so he just starts up his Nexus, and all he can say is, well, I tried, but there was no opening.
I tried so hard.
And he got so far.
In this case, Oz, upon arriving at this natural here, he saw the second hatch go down at 2:45. You know that that's the timing when a Zerg is going to go for hatch after a pull, so he's not even going to bother. And behind this, he started Nexus ASAP. He sees the links come down the ramp. This is the timing he's going to have to start a cannon. He's delaying that a little bit. Okay, he's getting the gateway. That means he's going to get a cannon behind this and then possibly have to wall off if the links were to rush his ramp. But you never expect to be able to do anything really here as a Zerg if you rush across the map. So we can see that XiGua, since he does not know that, he's not going to rush towards that wall. And yeah, we do see the additional hatchery here by XiGua on that third base. And no gas yet. You know, XiGua, I think it was overgrowth when he played against Arthur. He took that quick third base, and then he made mass queens because he knew aggression was going to come. Instead of getting speed, he made 6 queens and mass link speed without speed. So it could be something we see here if he thinks Oz is going to be aggressive.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you open up with a forge, right, when you don't do that Nexus into gateway, you do have a much slower warp gate, so he knows it won't be quite as crazy. But Oz also doesn't know that there is that third hatchery, so he has to kind of play it close to the chest until he can get a little bit of scouting. And XiGua's Overlord, it's also important for it to spot when that gas is taken, if that second gas is taken. And, well, it's also... I think with no gas from XiGua, this is looking like a pretty greedy opening from him.
Yeah, and Oz saw early on that there was no gas, so he knows that there's no speed timing where he could be about to be attacked. So, I mean, he can play it really safe. He could have even skipped that Zealot if he wanted to. He got it. That could mean some aggression. That could mean he just wants to play it safe. We're going to have to wait and find out exactly to see what he goes for. He starts Warp Gate and a Stargate. This is not the fastest Stargate that you can get, but it was still fairly fast. We've seen Trap having quite a bit of success at the MLG, which he just won, but he almost always got the very quick Stargate and then an Oracle out early on to do some damage on the middle lines. And I think right now Oz, he pieced things together. He never confirmed that third base, but he knows it's probably there. And I think getting an Oracle quickly here could be very good to try and do some damage.
Yeah, well, It's gonna be interesting. You're right. That Oracle had a lot of success. I like seeing it in PvZ because even if you can't kill many drones, you can always put on some pressure. And this Zealot's gonna run up to the third base, so he does confirm that it's here. Shouldn't really be able to kill much of anything. Gets a Zergling, and now the Queen is gonna fight it. But if he gets any drones here, that would actually be really, really nice for our Protoss player.
Yeah, and down there, Oz is trying to hide the probe on the map. He's actually going for Phoenixes instead of an Oracle. I think since he started +1, he's gonna add like 3 gateways. And then go for Zealot plus Phoenix aggression, but he's been spotted. That little Chris Loranger probe here, as I would like to call it, because Huck always sneaks a probe across the map, has been seen. So if he was to make a pylon there, this would be spotted very easily and defended fairly easily, most likely as well, even though XiGua didn't start speed yet, I guess. Yeah. So that could still do something here. The 3 gateways did start. This is a very old school build. Usually behind this you get a Robo, then you get the Robo Bay, you take the Colossus, you take a third base, you get your Blink, and Oz doesn't care about being spotted by that Overlord. Oh, I guess he doesn't see it.
No, it's just out of sight. These Zerglings will come now that the pylon's already been built. Now that he's committed some resources to this, he can kill the probe, he can kill the pylon. And
Warp Gate 10 seconds from finishing. I do think the pylon is gonna stay alive.
I guess the Phoenix maybe? Oh, he's chasing the probe. Huh.
Yeah, the Warp Gate should finish before this pylon is killed. So if we had even just 4 Zealots warped in here, +1 is well underway, 20 seconds away from finishing. He's getting the Mothership Core, the Robo as well. Very interesting build already here by Oz in this first game.
And the pylon will get killed by these Zerglings. Yet Burrow started up for a second, cancel it.
Oh wow.
Curious to see where he wants to bring this. Another pylon's warped in, just north of that third base.
He warped back at home, even though I think he could have warped there. Oz maybe trying to basically fake that he does not actually want to go for this aggression, even though he really, really wants to right now, believe me.
Man, lets this pylon finish, picked off as well, and ends up in a weird spot because you're partially supply blocked as well. And yeah, that probe at the third base really looks like he's going to take another next. I don't think there's any room to do damage with this, even though he has +1.
And those 4 Phoenixes, they usually force the Zerg to go into Hydralisks. It's very difficult to deal with them without. And that means that Oz is anticipating this perfectly. He's getting the Robo Bay right now. I'm pretty sure we're going to see some Colossus play as quick as possible. Not necessarily with the fast thermal lens, but oh, hold on, he's trying to do some damage. How many probes and drones have fallen? XiGua killed 2 probes so far that were on the map in this game, and 9 drones have been killed by this harassment, bringing XiGua down to 67 now drones against 51 probes for Oz. Ooh, the third base wasn't walled off early on here.
No, it was not. And these Speedlings are going to come in, try to surround this Nexus and kill it off. The Zealot buying a lot of time as the Roaches show up. And I think if he can kill this Photon Cannon, since there's no gateway here to protect it, even with the Phoenix, this Nexus might take a little bit of punishment. He's got a lot more forces rallied across the map. He's just building Zerglings right now.
Yeah, the 4 gateways was supposed to really help in defending this, but XiGua, the critical mass to really... I think he's going to be able to take down that Nexus. Oz needs to cancel. This is going to die.
Oh, this has been a really rough loss for Oz. His pressure not really able to accomplish as much as he was hoping for. He's just now moving into the Colossus tech. He's adding on a few more gateways, just 3, and he's building Void Ray. So Void Ray Colossi we know is good, but off 2 bases, you're not going to be able to pump out too many of those units.
I wonder, does Oz all in from here, or does he think that since he had to cancel the Nexus and this is going to be delayed even more, he had to make those extra gateways just to make sure that he can get enough units to be able to take that third base and spend his extra minerals. And by the way, XiGua starts to aspire. I wonder if he wants to play this old school Roach Hydra Corruptor, just because he's delayed that third base so much that Oz is basically, he shouldn't be able to get that critical mass of Colossus, Blinkstalker, with which basically you can deal very easily with a Roach Hydra Corruptor composition. By the way, some Phoenixes are going to die.
Yeah, 2 Phoenix killed, not bad at all by XiGua. So XiGua's played a very solid game so far. And Oz, he's just going to try to retake this third.
You think Corruptors? Yeah, Corruptors.
Huh.
Oh my god, this is going to be so hard to hold here for Oz. I mean, he does have the Void Ray, which is definitely a good counter to Corruptors, but with a mass of Hydralisks and the Corruptors possibly targeting on the Colossi. I mean, right now, well, the Colossus, we have a single one right now.
Yeah, this is a tough army composition to fight because you have just so many units, these cheap Zerglings with these Hydras, and those Corruptors are strong. And, you know, as respectable of a unit as the Void Ray may be, Corruptors in this number, with this number advantage, they shouldn't have too much trouble.
Man. Call them Sir Void Ray.
The Sir Void. He's going to kill these rocks, so there won't be quite as much of a choke point. I feel like he even wants to limit space. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like XiGua has more surface area to attack from now.
Oz knows He knows this is coming. XiGua's getting in position here. It doesn't look like he wants to attack the third base. He might go up the ramp with his big shock of unit and attack from the other side. He needs to make a lot of things in reinforcement because they get there faster as well. XiGua, does he wait until he's maxed out or does he go now? I feel like...
He doesn't have an overseer. He doesn't know for sure about these hallucinations. He's going to run in. The Corruptors can using the corruption ability on the hallucination, then the Mothership Core. So the real Colossi have been allowed to attack so far. Both hallucinations are dead, and a really solid defense from Oz with these hallucinations.
Absolutely sick defense here. He hallucinated the Colossi in advance. He knew this was coming. One single Muta start. Mistake?
2 Mutas.
Oh no, he wants to transition, but he has no gas. This is so sad. He wants to transition into Mutas. He's like, you know what? You have enough Colossus and Void Ray to defend this. You're not going to have enough mobility to deal with Mutas. You don't have Blink. It's pretty obvious by now. And you know what? XiGua was right, but the Twilight Council was made. Oz could start Blink here very, very soon. He's short on gas, but with that third base and the 5th and 6th gas he's added on, he should be able to get additional gas to start Blink to get maybe some more Phoenixes. I guess against Corruptors, he's better to go into Blink right now. Yeah, he's going to see some of those Mutas. This is a big deal
you
here.
see the Mutas. It's going to force out Phoenix, and there are still Mutalisks being made. XiGua is really trickling these out. I'm a little bit worried when you move this slow into Mutalisks, because Oz has so much time to prepare for what's coming, and now that he has that third base set up, he can look to get a little aggressive. This big Hydralisk core, so that's quite scary.
Oh, he's moving out. He's moving out without a Mothership Core. If he was caught on the map here, there would be no recall available. Oh, XiGua is going to go for this round. He's coming in from behind. He's going to try to flank with the reinforcement. It's now or never, XiGua.
Yeah, he's fighting off creep, but these Hydralisks are still quite strong. He's moving in. There's a slight army supply lead for XiGua, but these force fields have been really good so far. All the real Colossi still alive. And Oz, he's making it happen so far. The third base, though, being attacked by these, these 3 Mutalisks are quite scary. All the probes are going to run. But the counterattack moving in from Oz. And he does have a pylon here to help reinforce the Hydralisk's not able to get on top of that just yet. Oz's army doesn't really look assailable at this point.
Yeah, I think XiGua needs to wait a little bit more, but some of these Hydras on the left-hand side are getting engaged.
Yeah, they're actually move commanding through this army. Oz, I really like this position. As weird as it can be without the Mothership Core, his army is so strong. Here comes the attack on the left side. The Corruptors are trying to focus down the Colossi. Stalkers are coming in from the right, but there's just too much on the ground for Oz. I don't even know if even without the Colossi that he could fight this Hydralisk force. He's going to move in. More force fields being placed. Guardian shield goes up, and there's just nothing here for XiGua, Todd. +1 finishes, but that's not enough. GG. Oz takes game number 1 against the Invictus Gaming Zerg.
That was so damn solid here out of Oz, especially the hold around his third base, between his natural and third base. He moved these units perfectly. He knew this attack was coming somehow, which is weird. He didn't even have an observer there. He just sensed this was something that could come. I guess he started a little bit with hallucinations here and there, and he knew that XiGua could maybe try to go for this kind of timing, and the hold was beautiful. Double hallucinated Colossus in front of his army, tanking the damage. His real Colossus didn't take any damage, really, and then behind this, used the perfect time warp, force fields that he needed. He crushed this army. He was starting to crush it, and then XiGua, he had enough early on. He's like, let's just pull back for now. I went in. He was way too ready for me. I didn't have an overseer. I'll try this later on, and then Oz never really gave him the chance to get any good engagement ever after that.
Yeah, I'm not a Protoss player. I'm not a Zerg player, but when I look at that game, it's just so cool to see how the hallucinations were used. He built them early enough that it wasn't like, okay, he has 2 Colossi, now he has 4. It was like, no, the first time he saw the Colossi, he saw 4. It's like, well, maybe he went double robo. It's hard to be sure sometimes, and even if it doesn't seem like you can afford it, in the heat of the game, you see this, and it's something that you have to react to. So
yes,
even though you wanted to attack it, like I just imagine if the Corruptors go in and it kill the real Colossus first, like how different that fight pans out, because then the Hydralisks and the Zerglings get so many additional hits off. It becomes suddenly a completely different game because he killed the rocks. There was tons of surface area.
Yes, I still think that hallucination is one of those underused skills. It should be used a lot more because it's very, very strong. Some players they lose fights with like sentries with lots of energy.
Yeah, it's really crazy. But now we're on to the potentially crazier map. You guys can see that we're now loaded into Habitation Station for our second map of our second series here at the WCS America Premier League round of 16. And our first player in the top left, who I'd say had a solid start, but really things just did not go well for him once that mid-game went through. From Invictus Gaming, it is XiGua. Some good cheers for our Zerg player, and his opponent, who's currently up 1-0 in this best of 3, our Protoss player, the runner-up from Season 1 of WCS America. It is Planet Key Dynamics, Oz. A little bit more cheers for the Protoss today, Jon. At least for this match.
Times are changing, man.
Terran still get more cheers.
Yeah. What is Oz up to? Look the way he sent his probe around the map. Look at the path he's chosen.
This is pretty...
Oh, this is going to be the forge in the wall down the ramp with some cannons there.
When was the last time I saw this? Did Haas do this?
I think.
Or Wellmu did this in round of 32, right? For Europe, or was it round of 16?
Oh man, XiGua's going for pull first again because he's being scouted. This is the correct move, but is he going to react properly to this? Oh, he's going to spot the pylon. A good thing I think he could do is maybe send out a drone out on the map.
As a Zerg, what do you do when you see this?
Yeah, I think you send out a drone out on the map so you can take a hatchery elsewhere.
Oh, he's going to bring 5.
Oh wow, this is...
I think he can still wall this off in time, though.
Can Oz react on time? He's going to need to get out of here and wall off.
There we go.
Oh my god.
That's frustrating.
You're in jail, XiGua.
You know, I think with the way that it works, you can place another pylon to push your probe in through the wall too.
That's what he's going to do on the left-hand side of that pylon here. I don't think that those drones should be able to break out. Another probe is being sent there for Oz, just in case he messes up or something, to maybe re-wall behind as well. Oh, he doesn't want to push anything in. He's satisfied with the amount of drones that were pulled here.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. He did bring that other probe, and I'm not sure how much that changes the game at this point, but 8 Zerglings are on the way.
And
XiGua will eventually get through this wall, but I guess he wants to have a probe on each side. He's going to lock the other one in now?
Ooh, I don't think that's...
Oh, he's still protected the low ground cannon.
The links could really help in defending this. The cannon is up now. It's full hit points. XiGua's attacking a pylon. He thinks this is a cannon, I think.
No,
I don't think he can snipe all
No, he's just not letting the cannon get powered.
The surface area.
Yeah, the surface area to deny the cannon from being powered, and suddenly... This is a phenomenal hold from XiGua.
I can't believe he's held this so convincingly here. I really think this was going to go so much worse for him. He knew that... I don't know. I don't like the first cannon placement. I guess he knew that he would get those pylons, and then the Oz wouldn't have enough money to re-wall behind this perfectly, so making the 6 links here originally. If you go hash first against this, you're in so much trouble, I guess. But now going for the pull first.
The cannon's not done yet. There's 6 slings making their way over, and he's going to move in, just try to run past the photon cannon. 1 Zergling will die moving in. Another one takes a shot. But Nexus and Hatchery are, they both start at the same time, but this is still a really weird position because there's a few more probes out on the map.
Yeah.
What exactly can XiGua do with these lings?
He can just prevent mining here and there. I'm surprised he's attacking the gas here.
Simulators have a lot of hit points.
He's going to go for a weak probe, isolated by herself. He's forcing probes being pulled. If Oz had a pylon in the main, I would like to see a cannon, but since he doesn't, he's just going to wait until his gateway finishes, get a Zealot, which is going to most likely chrono boost to help and defend against those links. And across the map, we can see the forge dying. XiGua wants to take a 3rd base ASAP, and he wants the gold, man. He wants that money.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly earned it at this point. XiGua looking pretty hot so far this game after a rough start to this series, and this gold base, I mean, just look at how late everything comes in. The gateway's done, but a lot of probes aren't mining. His mineral income drops really, really low.
I feel like XiGua, with the lead he's got here, he should be able to transform that into, like, say, a 45 drone to, say, like, 30 probes.
He's mining 500 minerals. He's like mining less than 300 minerals a minute with all these probes running around on the map.
This is sad.
And that makes his cybernetics core later, but it also means Warp Gate is going to be so late. I don't think there's anything he can do about this gold. He doesn't even have a forge to try something crazy with.
Couple queens here will be added on for XiGua. He really needs those. We had just 1 single queen made so far in this game. And with the gold base, I feel like XiGua is going to be able to transfer like a whole bunch of drones there, and his economy is going to completely blow up, and then from there he can decide what he goes into. If he wants to go into lots of roaches and Zerglings, he has some of the best injects out there, I feel. Watching some of his previous games, even in this tournament against Arthur, it was very impressive how well he was injecting and producing consistently units all the time. So if he went for something like that, I feel like he could maybe endlessly prevent Oz from taking a 3rd base. Especially, oh my god, Oz goes for a Stargate. He goes for double Stargate.
Well, you know what?
He just raised the stakes, man.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, Todd. And well, this is really, really crazy. Roach Horn's on the way. There's no lair yet. There's no lair being produced. So that means the anti-air is just queens and spore crawlers. These drones are going to move over to saturate the gold base. So the mineral income for XiGua is really going to shoot up as this lair begins.
I wonder what he goes for.
Double Oracle?
You think?
MC style or?
I don't think Phoenixes will be good here. I don't think you can go for double Stargate Void Ray. So yeah, it has to be Oracles.
He doesn't have enough money to actually build any he doesn't have enough gas to actually build anything other than maybe a single Phoenix.
Oh, he shouldn't get that sentry. He should cancel that sentry. Yeah, he's gonna do just that. Double Phoenix, okay. I guess.
You know, the Overlord saw it as well.
Yeah.
So.
Since he saw the gold base being taken, I think Oz knows that there's not gonna be any kind of lair tech and Hydralisks anytime soon. But actually, the lair started pretty quickly, since XiGua had the early on gas, and he took 2 additional gases at his natural. So I mean, if XiGua decides to go for something like mass Hydralisks now, I just don't see how you can win against that if you're Oz, because it's gonna be, you're never gonna be able to take a 3rd base, your Phoenix is not gonna do anything. A Zerg player who has this much economy right now like XiGua with 53 drones and a lot of them being on a gold base can just make 3 spores in each base. What are these guys doing here?
They were on a quest. That's
Quest to do what?
I don't know. They're trying to bring the ring over, but Phoenix caught them.
Oz wants to even the score in terms of economy. He's gonna start his own gold base. Pretty ambitious here, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, XiGua's about to have a big explosion, right? He's got Zergling speed about to complete. His Hydralisk den is done. So he could go for a lot of Zerglings and Hydras, and the robotics facility is only just now started.
He's going for Masslings to attack that gold base. The sentry is gonna be caught here. And XiGua should be able to get a cancel on that now.
Oh, a few more Lings break through. There's the first force field, but he's killed the sentry. And it's just this Mothership Core fighting. The Nexus will not complete in time for a Photon Overcharge.
Wow. Oh, he's rewalled behind a little bit. Oz could warp in one unit with his gateway. Maybe behind that wall he's going to get a sentry. I guess he might be able to save that. He's going to be hard though.
This would be a pretty nice hold considering how many units he's pushing out.
Oh, he didn't force field.
But there's Hydras on the way. I think Hydras, once these Hydralisks are complete with how short of a rush distance it is to that gold base, there's no no gateway army. And there is a single sentry.
I feel like Oz had to commit to way more Phoenixes than that, by the way. He stopped after 4 and he's trying to rush into Colossus. He's basically hoping that XiGua won't attack, but XiGua's too good for that. The Mothership Core is out of position.
Nexus just completes as the Mothership Core is dead, and now there's Hydras on his probes. GG. XiGua ties the series up 1-1, and what an awkward game that is.
That went south so bad.
Yeah, I imagine there's a couple Zerg players out there right now watching this saying, that's how you defend that crazy forge at the bottom of my natural.
You just get 4 Hydras and move on to the gold and kill the Mothership Core before the Nexus finishes and then get all the probes. I guess that's one way. I don't know. The double Stargate, again, I was skeptical. I didn't think it could work, and in the end, it just proved how difficult it is to make this kind of build work. I feel like maybe he was hoping XiGua would mess up, not send an Overlord in, kind of miss the double Stargate, in which case, if you really get surprised, this could work, but in this case, it didn't.
Do you feel like he thought he had to do something crazy because of how well the initial cannon rush was shut down? Like,
yeah,
it was so many resources invested that didn't pay off at all. Like, you can't play a standard game from that position, right?
You can, but you know for sure that a Zerg player having a lead on this map is always going to mean one thing. He's going to be able to take the gold very easily, and then from there, it's just that difficult. So in this game, Oz, he could have tried to play maybe more standard, try to rush a lot of sentries and take a 3rd base, but he would have been on the back foot the entire game. He would never have been able to be the one that sets the pace, and I don't think that's what he wanted. He wants to be the one that sets the pace, even when he's behind. He wants to try something special and hope that it works, but in this case, he got completely shut down.
All right. Well, I don't think... Actually, no. Actually, I was going to say this map maybe gets a bit more sane, but we've seen some crazy builds on this map lately, guys. Game number 3 is going to be on Overgrowth. You can see our players are loaded in, and this, this has been a cool couple of games that we've had so far at our new studio for this live round of 16. But our second match is about to be decided. Our first player in the Southwest, the blue Protoss from Planet Key Dynamics. He likes cannons. Can he win this 3rd game? It is Oz. His opponent in the Northeast, the red Zerg hailing from China. It is Invictus Gaming's XiGua.
I'm surprised that Oz tried for something so special. You know, I really feel like some players sometimes they like to get a little bit too fancy. If you think that you're better than your opponent, you can just play standard and outplay him, don't you think?
Yeah.
He's the one who should be trying something because you're the favorite, you're better than him. But
yeah.
Oz, he still likes to try for crazy builds here and there. And right now, we have a pylon down the ramp, no scout yet. If he rallies his Nexus at his natural and starts to forge, he's going to be a cannon. And okay, yeah, he's going to send a probe there. I think he wants to cannon here again.
Well, XiGua, we still have to see the decision from him about whether it's that pool first. And it is a pool first at 15 supply.
XiGua with the mind games, man.
He's just playing safe.
Against Arthur, 3 times hatch first. Not a single time did he go pull first. 3 times hatch first into another base if he sees that he's not being scouted early on. And this match here, pull first every single time.
He's really taken advantage of
his image.
What his history says about him, right? So I think against a player like Oz, who even though, as we said, he's the favorite player, he still tries to bully around his opponents. It definitely creates this interesting tension as far as overall strategies go. So that probe's going to place a pylon to block this. I feel like Oz is, that's almost like a little frustrating thing. It's like, man, I really wanted to cannon you for going hatchery first, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. He's like, come on, not even one time? Maybe he goes for it, goes full Roddy.
He's like, come on, just do it. He would try to force it here, but there's the Nexus on the way. And XiGua has done a pretty reasonable job so far in this series. I can't say that his losses in this match have been because of any serious mistakes with him, but some clever play from Oz. And in this match, it's going to be really important for him to keep in mind the potential trickery. And another pylon block.
Wow.
The Zerglings are up, but that
does XiGua try and take the gold in this situation? He has so much money. He has 500 minerals. He cannot even start a hatch. He's going to start the first one now on his natural. The pylon is cancelled on the third base. And behind this, Oz starts his gateway. He's going to start adding some assimilators. He started just one, actually. You're always supposed to get both at once. He's going to do that. Start the second one. And from there, we go into a standard game. But those hatcheries being delayed so much, it could push XiGua out of his comfort zone already in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, or at least ask you, Todd, as a Protoss player, when you make the investment to put those 2 pylons down, is it worth the delay on any tech for Protoss?
In this case, it was, because the first pylon costs 100, and the second one he cancelled, so he's just lost 25. So 125 for delaying the hatcheries by this much. I mean, the hatchery started at like 4 minutes, and then the other one after the original one. So I would say this was definitely worth it for us here. I mean, he definitely has enough probes to get his economy going. He's getting a Savitics score right on time. He's even getting a Zealot. That's how good his economy is, man.
Yeah, he's got a nice bit of money, and these Zerglings have cleaned any and all probes off of the map, which is very important to note. So as long as he has a Zergling outside of his base, until the Mothership Core is out, Oz can't slip any workers. He can't try to get any proxy pylons, and it just kind of leaves him in this situation where he has limited, I'd say, opportunities to get anything done other than add-on tech.
XiGua skipping on gases here. I'm not surprised. This is exactly the way he played against Arthur the last time that they played on this map. And I feel like he's definitely going to be happy about not being up against any aggression. Last time when he played against Arthur, he knew that the aggression was going to come. So what he did was go up to 6 queens, with which he started creep-spreading a lot. He saved some transfusions as well. And he made a lot of speedless links to be sure that he could defend early on. So in this game, not having to deal with any kind of big gateway attack, which is, he should be able to scout with his Overlord, which is not doing anything right now, funnily enough. I think he's just gonna drone up a ton. Look, 8 more probes right now on the way, and still no gases.
Yeah, this
okay,
Overlord's moving. The Overlord's moving into his base, and that Stargate is in the south end. He's very close to spotting it. Not quite yet. It's on the south end. He's not gonna see it. He needs to turn right.
Are you sure? He's gonna turn. Oh, he saw it already.
Oh, okay, he just barely caught it there. It's an Oracle. That's a really important read for him, though. Because from the only Stargate play that we've had out of Oz so far in this series has been for that Phoenix play.
The Zealot in the middle of the map gets caught out of position, and he's gonna die. That probe as well, most likely. And Spores should start in each middle line. XiGua has delayed the Spores a lot. Wow, he's so confident. As the Oracle starts moving out, flying out on the map, a first Spore is gonna start. Where is it? It's in the main.
He's gonna try to get a setup. Of course, thanks to your tweets. Hammer Time says go Oz, and we all love hearing what you guys have to say. Oz has gotten a lot of support, at least from the crowd here as well. But this Oracle, let's see what it can get done, because XiGua, we know Queens, they don't tend to fight very well in 1v1s against Oracles, but he's just focusing down drones at this
I
point.
can't believe XiGua didn't make a spore. Are you kidding me? This is gonna get so many kills, up to 10 possibly.
And this is a really nice play with this Oracle. He will kill it though, at the trade of well, about 9 drones so far. I don't think he killed any other drones this game.
Definitely worth it here. We have Oz now on 45 probes against 52 drones, but a lot of those just finished. Double Evolution Chamber goes down for XiGua. I have to wonder. He's not made a Ro16 yet. Does he go into Zergling heavy style with upgrades? It's very late for those Evos to be this style. But it's still, I mean, with those Chinese players, man, you could really see anything. They are able to try almost anything. Does he get a Ro16? What do you think?
I mean, at this point, you can go for Zergling upgrades and still move into Ling Hydra, but there's also, and I feel like even if you don't commit on that, there's also styles that, you know, some, I'd actually say some more of the American players like to use, like Scarlet and Vibe. You move up to that Hive Tech late game, and you prefer, instead of playing off lair units, to go for something like Ultralisks, you know, for a late game timing before your opponent has a lot of Immortals. But the third Nexus is going to complete reasonably soon here for Oz, and this is a nicely timed third base, I feel.
Spire. So XiGua skipped on the Ro16. He gets a Spire instead, and I think that means he's going to get a lot of links to make sure he's safe and that he can put on some pressure. And then behind this, he's going to follow this up with a Muta transition. And you know what? I'm not surprised, to be honest. I feel like XiGua is that guy who should be playing Mutas every single game, because his style in Warcraft 3, he played Orc, was actually hit and run. He made a ton of Wyverns, a ton of Raiders. Wyverns are flying units, in case you don't know. And you can just fly around. You even had split scroll, so you could always get away. And that's all he ever did. He was the lamest player ever. No, I'm just joking, of course. He was pretty good, but he really liked to do that hit and run style so much that when I figured out or found out that this guy was playing StarCraft, I really thought he would be playing Mutas every single game. And now that makes a lot of sense to see him go for a Spire.
We'll have to see what he can get done with it. There's been a little bit of Phoenix, just a single Phoenix made, maybe to hunt down some Overlords before he goes back into Void Rays. And, you know, Mutas...
I was going to say he's failing to scout right now, but he spotted the Spire, but I don't think he was able to click on it to make sure it's a Spire. It kind of looks like a Spore or a Spine right now. It could be a Spore or a Spine in the main of his opponent. Do you think he knows? He's getting a Twilight now, and he's getting... I mean, he wouldn't get Thermal Lens this fast.
Building Void Rays into Mutalisks as well. Typically, the Phoenix are have a bit more success. You know, the Spire's done. He's going into Corruptors first, though. This is going to be really heavy Zergling count with Corruptors, and these Queens. There are, you said it earlier, Ty, that he likes to build a lot of Queens. There's 11 on the map.
Wow.
I'm not sure what it is. The March of the Queens.
You should have seen Day 9's impression of a marching queen.
This is priceless. This requires like some really slow, epic music.
I'm so surprised that XiGua is going for this. I guess he's gonna use the queens to tank some damage. He has a lot of transfuse available.
Yeah, he has transfuse,
I guess. And yeah, he's gonna use the Corruptors to snipe the Colossi and Void Rays. Queens are very good against Void Rays as well. And then the Zerglings are gonna come in and help and reinforce and take out the entire ground army. I mean, Oz's army, this is the timing where his army is basically the weakest. 1 minute later and he would have so much more. He would have a critical mass enough to really hold this convincingly. It's so hard for us to get a good engagement, but XiGua has to be careful as well.
Nope, couple force fields thrown. Doesn't really catch too many of the Zerglings. The Void Rays get some hits off, but the transfuses are real. Trying to attack the natural expansion. That Colossus tucked in quite nicely. This is a solid hold so far for us.
The defense has been good so far. The Colossus didn't move out of position. He's gonna get chased now. Second photon overcharge is used. The Corruptors might take it out anyway.
Yeah, he's trying to move in on that Colossus on the left side.
Oh, so good force fields.
He's gonna be able to pick it up despite the photon overcharge. The force fields lock in a lot of these Zerglings, but once they get on top of these gateway units, those 1/1 upgrades really start to pay off. The Queens are too far back to fight against the gateway forces, so he's really been able to fight this as much as he wants. And there's a Colossus tucked into the third base that has not contributed at all to this battle because he's thinking, hey, my gateway units are more than enough.
He's not contributed. I like that.
He's being lazy.
He's being tired.
Doesn't want to take the fight just yet. He's scared of those Corruptors, and the Colossus and the Natural actually should get picked off as well, but he's going to go for the Void Rays first. There's the Transfuses, and this push so far, I talk about a slow push, man, with these Queens. Slow to arrive and slow to end. Colossus is killed. Zerglings are funneled into this force field, but there's not a lot of Zealots here to help deal with these Zerglings. Once they get on top of the gateway units, things get a bit tricky, but the Queens, Oz has managed to hold.
Yeah. The Zerglings were only 1-1, so Oz being on 1-0 here, it's not that high on upgrades, but the Zerglings weren't that strong just yet that they could completely overpower the ground, even with the support of those Queens. I mean, you can't even transfuse Zerglings. But behind this, XiGua didn't fall asleep. He tech to Hive. He's getting an Ultralis Cavern now. Look at how much gas he's got. He could literally go into both Ultras and Burlords and even add some Infestors in there maybe.
That's a lot of gas.
Yes,
He's even getting the Adrenal Glands too, so he wants to keep these Zerglings as a core part of his army. And with that 4th base on the way in the southeast, I'd love to see him try to get some run-bys, delay this attack from Oz, or at least delay the pressure. But it still isn't a bad situation. Look, an Immortal! Did he see the... He has a Observer.
Oh yeah, he saw the
Ultralis Cavern, he knows. And he's getting a second Robo and a Templar Archive.
Yeah, but is it enough? I mean, XiGua is going to go up to a 4th base. He's going to be on 8 gases. I expect a 5th base to start ASAP. I've repeated many times during MLG, a Zerg on 10 gases, scariest thing in the game.
Well, he's going to move in these Zerglings. Those 2-2 upgrades not done yet. Neither Adrenal Glands, but the surround pretty good so far. And every Immortal, especially that he can pick off, will really help those Ultralisks later on.
Zealot's not doing anything here in the middle of this, but it's going to be enough for now to hold. I wonder if Oz... I guess being on double Robo is really going to help, but with 6 Ultras on the way, the production capability of XiGua here is just so much greater. I'm surprised he's not going for a 5th. Just take the goal, XiGua. He hadn't even saturated the gases on his force up until now. He just did it now. Oh, he misclicked actually.
Oh.
No!
That feel.
Fix it!
Those drones
Fix it!
Those drones are a little lazy.
You can say le tired.
Le tired.
It's better.
Alright, so Adrenal Glands is going to finish up. And these, I mean, all the upgrades are really getting into place. But with double Immortal production, 3 already on the map, it's going to be, there's almost a timer on this army, right? Eventually these Immortals will just plow through this Ultralisk force. And
this is too early.
Yeah.
It's too early to sacrifice Zealots like this. You're not supposed to do this early. Like when you're almost maxed out, that's when you do this. Right now, he might need those Zealots for the fight. So Oz is going to try to pull back. Charge about to finish. They're going to be a little bit faster.
This is quite nice. Every unit that he can kill at this point, he's just going to set himself up better for that later attack. But a War Prism about to go into the main base does give him a nice counterattack ability. And these Zealots,
oh, the Corruptors know about the War Prism. They're going for it.
Oh, yeah, that War Prism is going to get smacked down right outside of his base. Nice pick-off, but 5 Immortals on the map, 2 more coming in, and the Ultralisk count is at 10, which is, I mean, that's pretty damn high Ultralisk count. He's got 57 Zerglings to support them.
The 4th base of Oz is about to be revealed. It was just seen by a single link that was sent there. So now XiGua knows. I think he's going to be attacking. Oz is really afraid of Burlords, and he should be. Because there is Corruptors out, and there is a Great Aspire on the way. Yeah, Great Aspire is morphing right now, but they aren't there just yet. He should focus on defending the Ultras for now.
That's a lot of Photon Cannons. These Ultralisks are going to chew through these, but even these Photon Cannons killing a single Ultralisk is quite nice.
Set up.
Yeah, he split himself up pretty hard, and now moving in, these forces coming through. The Zerglings trying to stop this army at the same time. Zealots going to the top left, but look at this choke point. He's funneling himself in. These Immortals can really single target these Ultralisks down, and he can't break this position just yet. The top left base is being ransacked. Zealots will trickle off towards the north center base as well. And you know what's nice is that his Ultralisk should still be able to kill off this Nexus.
Oh, Oz moved.
He's
moved out of position here. He was trying to catch those Ultras. He's going to be surrounded. All of those sentries are going to die. This army is being flanked. Corruption is going to be used on those Immortals, and XiGua cannot believe this. Might take the win here against Oz. He's got a great supply lead. He's got 3-3 on the way. Burrow as well.
Man, with no supporting units, those Ultralisks are actually able to kill the Immortals, and GG is called. XiGua, with the upset, gets the 2-1 victory over the runner-up from last season. Fantastic match by XiGua.
Here goes my PvP prediction for the winner's match. I did not expect this. Very impressive play here by XiGua. The way he transitioned everything. And you know, I didn't even notice during all that that long fight that he had with the Queens and Corruptors that there was actually the Hive on the way, and that XiGua just planned for everything. Not only the Hive, but then basically when the next time that I looked in XiGua's main, I was so focused on the fight. This was such a new fight that I'd never seen with Queens, Corruptors and all that. I looked in the main of XiGua. There was an Ultralisk Cavern on the way. So I think that if I was surprised being able to see everything on the map, I'm pretty sure that Oz was very surprised as well. And even though he had the good buildings that you need to counter this with the double Robo, it was just, he saw it too late. It's very hard to defend from there.
Yeah, it was a very interesting push, and that's kind of some of the craziness that you see out of these Chinese players, because this isn't the first time that we've ever had a Zerg player go for Ultralisks, almost like a really fast Ultralisk based game. But the way that he made that Queen push work, and I almost thought it was funny when he said he was going for the this timing where he has the upgrade advantage, because queens, that'll give you the slowest timing you can possibly have in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they do have transfuses, but I really thought, I guess he wanted to snipe the entire air units, which were the Void Race and the Colossus, so to speak, with his Corruptors, after which you can transfuse them a little bit, you can transform them into Burlords quickly if you think this is the best choice of composition that you want to go for. But the Ultras here, the communal Ultras at first, was really, really good by XiGua. I feel like what was missing here from Oz was maybe a Dark Shrine. He could have defended at the bottom right very well against the Ultras with it, and he could have sent them in each mineral line like we saw Trap do earlier and have a lot of success with, and maybe won the game.
You know, one of the other things is you mentioned when you said that he killed the Void Rays, but when you move into Ultralisks like that, as a Protoss player, you say, well, obviously Immortals are very good versus Ultralisks,
yes.
But once you get forced into a certain number of Immortals, that Broodlord fear catches up because Immortals, they don't handle very well against Broodlords, and since they already have the Spire, they're already Corruptors on the map. I really think he didn't give an opportunity for Oz to properly prepare for what he was, what he was going for.
Yeah, and I mean, Broodlords can be scary, but Oz was really preparing for them too. If you get up to 3 Tempest, you one-shot Broodlords, so that it just gets kind of sad for Zerg to try and go for those Broodlords. So, I don't know, lots of possibilities of what could have happened, but in the end, XiGua just played too good and too solid for Oz this time.
All right, well, let's hear Roddy's thoughts on that match. It's going to bring us some sweet analysis of that ZVP. Take it away, Kev.
There's nothing really that I can say that you guys haven't said already, but I did think it was a really fun PvZ. I really enjoyed it, and definitely a little bit of an upset. The runner-up of WCS America Premier League Season 1 in his first series of the day in a pretty tough group, so it's not going to get easy for him. I felt the first 2 games were relatively straightforward, even though I think XiGua had realistic opportunities to win Game 1 as well. But Game 3 was really unique, and I was definitely feeling a little bit like Nate. I was like, Broodlords are scary now. Broodlords are scary, but they never came. And at a certain point, I felt that Oz was starting to get, sort of in control of this game with a couple of good moves. But the final minute or 2 of this game was just pretty nuts. And I'd say let's just go ahead and jump into game and see where we can take it from. As from this point on, you see this pretty scary Zerg army. We also see the Tempests are on the way. I think this is like a very scary moment for Oz to fight, and he notices it as well. So he's like, no, I'm going to use the SimCity in my own advantage. And from this point on, you have to be very careful of your XiGua. If he tries to break through, most of his Ultras will die one by one. So great positioning by Oz, and XiGua's going to have to go back. But if you look, there are 3 Ultras. And this moment, Oz thinks, hey, I push his army back. I'm going to kill these 3 Ultras because that's for free. And suddenly XiGua turned around and he says, surprise, something else, and gets so close to all the sentries. And these Immortals, they are good, but look at these Ultras doing so much splash damage. I thought this was a really brilliant move by XiGua, pretending like he wanted to go back, pretending like those 3 Ultras were up for grabs, but the opposite was true. Suddenly the Ultras getting the dream engagement they've been looking for. And even though Oz was getting ready for Broodlords as well, as we saw, he already had 1 Stargate, dropped the Fleet Beacon and 2 more Stargates. He wasn't ready for this. He did not expect he would lose a fight that hard. While also during all this, he did kill the base in the left top side of the map. So if this wouldn't have happened, there's a good chance that this game could have either dragged on for a little while longer, or he would have had the answer already for Broodlords. And if XiGua, after losing that base, would have decided to make a lot of Broodlords, that would be a big investment, and I don't think that would be something to bounce back from. Either way, I thought it was a really cool series. It's definitely good to see the only player representing Invictus Gaming going to the winner bracket match, and we'll see him in action again later today. But next up is going to be a PvP series between Pig Baby and Oz. And guys, do you have any final words?
Well, I think Roddy covered just about everything, and he happens to be a much better Protoss player than me, so I'll leave that to him. Anything you want to say, Tom?
I'm really looking forward to the winners match later on, because Hart has shown a lot of good form against Zerg. He beat Jedong 2-1. He did lose to Yun 1-2, but hey, nothing to be ashamed of. Are you kidding me? Yun is the champ.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, very scary player to go up against. But guys, our next match will be the losers match. We're going to have a PvP. Right after this commercial break, you're watching WCS America Premier League Round of 16.